Hey there VC, Mark here. I'm going to do an update video, which I haven't done for a while. First off, I want to thank Rob from Boston, Phoenix 1960, for sending me the album that we're listening to in the background here. It's Gene Loves Jezebel, and the album's called The House of Dolls. And I must confess I've never heard of this band before up until now, and I'm not really sure how they escaped me in the past, but their music is really, really cool. Definitely got an 80s sound to it. The production, production-wise, is very slick. Very, well, it's just 80s, like an 80s type rock sound. And really getting into it right off the bat. It's a likable album. So with, all the tracks on here are very listenable. I got a couple favorites already. Like one of the ones that Rob mentioned he liked was 20 Kilohertz, and that's a great tune. Also, I like the song Message as well. The guitar work on both of those songs is just tremendous. So I'm very thankful to Rob for this record. I really appreciate it. It's great getting stuff through the vinyl community, because what a great way to learn new music. And I've definitely learned about a band I never knew about before. So once again, Rob, thank you very much. Second part of Rob's package he sent to me was an album. I kind of figured he was going to send me something by this group, because I had mentioned in one of his videos from a while back that I'd like to find out more about them, and Rob was very generous. He sent me a copy that was still in the shrink wrap, in mint shape all the way through, and it even comes with a bonus 7-inch single, and that's the Housemartins, the people who grin themselves to death, and it comes with the single Caravan of Love, and the backside is called When I First Met Jesus. In Rob's letter, he mentioned to me that it might take a little getting used to the lead singer's vocals. That's P.D. Heaton. Really, it's not. His vocals are pretty good, actually. Like, it's not something that takes getting used to. I find that the songs by the band are very popish-like in a lot of respects. Some of the songs are very catchy. Like my favorite song on here that I've listened to so far is The World's on Fire. I think that's a great tune. A little bit of a religious undercurrent going on through a few of these songs here, though, which is fine. That doesn't bother me. Music more than makes up for anything that I might even think is mildly negative to the album, which really is next to nothing. I think the music is fantastic. And these guys all know how to play their instruments, that's for sure. There's even a little bit of trombone in there. The lead singer also does guitar, and he plays trombone, and that kind of adds a slightly different flavor to the music as well. So I really am getting into this record. I played this too. Caravan of Love is really a beautiful song. It's all done a cappella, and so is the flip side, When I First Met Jesus. I really appreciate that kind of music. Like it's obviously very, very difficult to do, because there's so much harmonizing, and really it's just the vocals are in the forefront. So you know, it really allows singers to show off what they can do as far as vocalizing. So it kind of reminds me of a band that I have an album of theirs. They're called the Flying Pickets. I think they're a British band. I'm not 100% positive. And they really remind me, especially on the Caravan of Love, of that band, which I really, really like. So, again, Rob, I just really, really appreciate the kind gesture of sending me these records. BC is a great place to be, and I really consider you one of the, one of the major strengths of the BC. And again, I just appreciate the gesture. So, thank you very much, Rob, and you take care of yourself. Next up, I'm going to show just quickly some albums. I've been piling up a lot of albums lately. I'm not really going to talk too much about them, I don't think. I haven't even listened to them all yet, but just wanted to quickly show what I had picked up. First off is I have listened to this one all the way through, and I really, really am getting into this. It's Keith Richards, his solo album from 1988. And with the back cover there, I love that picture in the back with the skull ring. And well, I thought it was a gatefold. It's not a gatefold. It's got a cool inner sleeve picture of Keith. And it's on the Virgin record label, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize he was with Virgin Records. But this album here has kind of slipped through my fingers too. I've never, I kind of remember when it was released, but that's it. And it's kind of been forgotten to me altogether. And it turned up in a record store in town, and so I had to pick it up. And it's a great rock and roll record. I was, when I first bought it, I thought, I don't know if I can take a whole album of Keith singing, but really, it's more than made up for it, all the instrumentation in there, and just the songs are great. And Keith did a really good job. Even his singing is really good in the album as well. And it's got more like a rock, kind of a rock feel, kind of a funk feel to it. But all around a great record. So I recommend that one. This one I just picked up yesterday, and it's really my first venture into Iggy Pop. I don't have any Iggy Pop albums. This is my very first one. And it's Iggy Pop live at the Channel in Boston, and it was recorded in 1988. So maybe Rob, you can lend a little information on the Channel. I've never heard of the Channel before. This pressing is actually a France pressing on the Revenge label, which is, oh, there we go. Revenge. So it's a 2-record set, and I have but I read on the internet that this is actually the same show that was recorded on the King Biscuit Boys Flower Power Hour or something like that. There's an album that has the same concert. Apparently this though is more of the rough, unfinished, mastered version. So the mixing isn't as perfected as it is in the other recordings. So it's kind of a rougher mix, but it's the same concert. So, and I played part of it so far. I'm really getting into that. The very first song that starts the album is Instinct, and one of my favorite Iggy Pop songs, so happy to get this record. Another great live album that's very revered as being one of the best live albums of all time is the Allman Brothers at Fillmore East. I haven't played it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Here's something that's really different. I've never heard of this band before, and finding any information on them in the internet is, there's not very much on them, really. I know they've released a few albums. I even checked eBay to see if this album was on there, or I checked Discogs too, and I couldn't find this exact record on there. So I guess it's fairly unknown. The band is called La Secta, and here's the album. Very cool gatefold artwork. La Secta Fuzz Gods. And there's the inner gatefold. Now what La Secta is they're from, I believe they're from Puerto Rico. Now this album is a Spain pressing, Madrid, Spain. And it's on Munster Records, which has a very cool label. The Munster Records label, and there's the backside, Buzz Gods, and what they are is a punk rock band, and I played the album once so far, and I must say that it's really a good punk rock album. It's very, very good. Lots of high energy stuff in here. It's kind of funny listening to it though, because they do have that Puerto Rican accent, and one song is saying, is not in English, the remaining songs are. But again, it's something I'm really getting into lately. And if anybody else knows about Secta, I'd be interested to know a little bit more about them, because I really don't know too much about them other than this record here. So I thought that was kind of a cool pickup. A little bit of Ozzy, Speak of the Devil. So it's a good album. I had this one when I was younger. Don't know what happened to it, but it's a great compilation, basically, of all the Black Sabbath tunes done live. They're the greatest. It's like the greatest hits live album is what it is. And the performances on here are very good. Picture's a little cheesy though, I think, but there we go. Overall, it is a very good live album, and you know, it's one that is kind of like nostalgic for me anyway, to listen to. Next up, I followed a few people's leads on in the vinyl community, and that's to pick up the new Bruce Springsteen album, Wrecking Ball. I think the first person I saw review this was Jeff Recordman, and I think Rob Yellowbox talked about this too, as well as LJ, Biosite 1. So got into this too. I'm really glad I got this, because I've heard some mixed reviews on it. That, you know, Springsteen's past his prime, blah 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 blah, and you know, he's just trying to relive his glory days or whatever. But whatever, it's still a great rock and roll album, and it's, you know, if you're a Bruce Springsteen fan, in my opinion, this album is very essential to your collection. It's not for completists only. It's an essential Bruce Springsteen album, and it rocks. So I was really happy to get that one. I just dropped some records on the floor there. Slippery Inner Sleeves. Anyway, continuing on. I picked this up the other day, and I've been wanting this one for a long time. It's been on my want list for probably about a year now. And that's ZZ Top's first album. And I believe it's an original press, American press, on the London Stereophonic label. Now sometimes when you buy a record, you know, it looks mint, it doesn't play mint. It plays like, oh my god, whoever played this before had a horrible needle on it, or it's been played 1,000 times and it's just been wore right out. But it looks mint. This is kind of the opposite of this one. This one plays absolutely mint. Like, there's not a tick or a pop throughout the whole album. But when you look at it under a strong light, it does have some very, very light superficial marks on it. So I would kind of grade this at maybe VG++, but as far as it plays like it's brand new. Like it's never been played before. So I was very, very happy to get this record. They're not very common anymore. They're kind of hard to come by. Next up is the MC5. And this is a repress. I found this record used. It wasn't a sealed album, but it is a recent repress on 180 gram vinyl. And much like their Kick Out the Jams live album, it's a great rockin' album all the way through. So I was glad to get that one. My record store dealer talked me into this one here. I remember as a kid seeing this in record stores. You know, I nearly grabbed it time and time and time again. I never did. I never did own this record up until last week. And it's The Tubes, What Do You Want From Live? And, you know, featuring white punks on dope and Don't Touch Me There. The Tubes were a very bizarre band, but the music on this record, like, it's a great live album all the way around. I just, you know, wish I had, you know, picked this up back in the day, you know, because I did miss a lot of great music not having this record. So a great album, great party album, I would say too. Next up, David Bowie, The Rise and the Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Now, I've owned this record for quite a long time. a reissue that I owned for a long time, and you know, the Super Saver series with a little white circle. And I found out it was being reissued on 180 gram. So I thought, well, you know what? And it's a gatefold too, and I never had the gatefold version of this record, so I thought I'd order it. It came in the mail last week. The only thing that bothers me a little bit, I know it bothers a lot of people a lot, is they got a little crunch in the corner there. I don't know how it got crunched. The box wasn't crunched. So it must have crunched a bit when I went in there. My wife said, well, send it back, send it back. And you know what? I'm not going to bother. I'll just keep it the way it is. And yeah, I've never seen these pictures before. I'm not sure if the original album came with these pictures on the inside. But it also comes with a version of the album on DVD with some bonus tracks. So DVD, being capable of holding more information than the CD, this should actually sound pretty good. It shouldn't sound at all compressed, I'm hoping anyway. I haven't played this yet. I played the album through all the way. It sounds great. So I'm kind of looking forward to listening to that. The vinyl the label kind of represents a little bit like the old RCA orange label. Only it doesn't say RCA on there, it just says Bowie. But the pressing is very good. I know that some of you out there don't really like the 180 gram. Sometimes I don't either, but I'm finding that this one does have great sonics all the way around, and other than the cover being a little dinged up, pressing itself is really pretty good, so glad to get that. Another album that's escaped me since it was released, seen it many times, never have owned it, but I finally found a copy. I didn't finally find it, it just kind of popped up one day and I thought, oh, I gotta get that. It's the original soundtrack of the movie Tommy. And Margaret and Jack Nicholson and of course Tina Turner as the Acid Queen and Oliver Reed. So Oliver Reed and Margaret were the main stars in the movie. And 1975, vinyl's pretty much mint. The cover's a little worn, but it's not too bad. It's got cool gatefold pictures inside. So I know many of you are very familiar with this record. I've owned the Tommy album non-soundtrack for quite a while, but I was really glad to kind of come across this one. So I picked that one up. Next up, John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Milk and Honey. And I really hadn't heard too much about this record. I know it came out after Double Fantasy, which was a monster hit, but also with the death of John Lennon, I know that album sales for that took off as well because of that. But I'm finding this record to be just as good, and in some ways better. Yoko Ono was much better on this record than the previous one. Her songs seem to be more refined. She doesn't have quite the screeching vocals that she did on Double Fantasy. And although John Lennon's songs he really hadn't put the final touches on this stuff before it was released because he never got the opportunity to do so. There's still some great songs out here by John Lennon as well. So I was kind of happy to come across this. And it's a gatefold as well. So John Lennon, Yoko Ono. One I came across yesterday in a yard sale, and the guy who sold it to me he knew the value of records, so I really didn't get a great price on it. But I still didn't pay record store prices. I didn't pay garage sale prices either. But anyway, I had to grab it when I saw it because I have this record already. Who Are You? Which is the last album that the Who did with drummer Keith Moon. We lost a couple fantastic drummers within a couple of years with the death of Keith Moon, and then after that was, of course, John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. So I had to grab this record only because it's on the red vinyl. And I used to own the red vinyl edition of this many years ago. Again, one of those records that disappeared. Don't know what happened to it. Still got the shrink wrap on it. So the cover's in pretty good condition as well. And lastly, we got 2 more records to show. I've really been getting hooked on AC/DC. I was never really an AC/DC fan back in the day, other than the Back in Black. But I'm finding that I'm really appreciating, especially early AC/DC, getting into Bon Scott. The man has such energy, it's unbelievable. And him coupled with Angus Young is just like super high energy all the time. Whatever they recorded was just amazing stuff. So I've been slowly getting my AC/DC collection together. And one of my most recent acquisitions is this one I got last week. AC/DC, If You Want Blood, You Got It. Just an amazing live album. Really captures the sound of AC/DC. With great songs on here. One of my favorite songs is Whole Lotta Rosie and The Jack. I love The Jack. Let There Be Rock and Rock and Roll Damnation. Some great songs. And so I grabbed that one, and then I also found this one online recently, and it's AC/DC Live, and this one will have it'll have Brian Johnson rather than Bon Scott. This is a later release. Not sure what year it was originally released. I think it's 92. This pressing is a 2003. I don't think it actually came out on vinyl until later. Like it was on CD first. I'm pretty sure of that, and on a double CD. So this is a double album. There we go. Whole Lotta Rosie. Very cool. I guess projected prop above the band down here, and I must say that I don't care for this as much as the other one. Not because of the singers, I like Brian Johnson too. I do favor Bon Scott, but this doesn't really sound like a live show so much like the other one does. And the main reason for that is this is like a compilation of live performances that they did over a year's time. And instead of connecting these songs all together, like to make it sound like it's one live show, the songs actually fade out at the end and then fade back in for the next song. So it doesn't sound like a continuous show at all. It sounds like a bunch of live songs just kind of put together like that. It doesn't really, nothing really connects in it. But the song selection on here is awesome. Like, it's got all their hits on here, all the songs that they're famous for. Also, it's a very long album too. The one album stretches over 30 minutes. I think all the sides, not one side, sorry. And I think all the sides are well over 20 minutes in length. So very, very long. Maybe a bit too long because I did notice that sound-wise, it doesn't sound so great, especially on the other side that's 30 minutes long. Because the grooves are so compressed and all that. But still, as for an AC/DC fan, this is still a must-have record. It's one that I'm very happy to have anyway. And again, it's not 180 grams vinyl. It's got some cool inner sleeves with pictures. A great picture of Angus there. So I was happy to get this. A little disappointed, like I said, about the lack of concert feel to it, but overall, great performances overall, and a great band. So that's it for my vinyl update today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long, and take care, everybody.